gentlemen, fellow viewers near and afar, I am Bongam saying welcome to another edition of Special Guest on Cry Out Radio and Television. Before we proceed, we call upon our friends who enjoy our work to visit our website at www.cryoutradio.tv to get our vision. If you like our objectives, download our app from the App Store or Play Store. Also, you can subscribe to our Cry Out Radio TV YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope to better enjoy our programming, and don't forget to like and share with friends and family. We consider that as your widow's mite to make this lofty dream truly materialize. We also want to seize this medium to give a stern warning to anyone who chooses to indulge in insults instead of debate. This will result in a lifetime ban from this platform. Cry Out is an independent initiative and is by no means influenced by the federalist, restorationist, or loyalist agenda. Our programming and investigations will display no favoritism. There are some nefarious persons and groups who continue to spread fake news about Boyo. What exactly they are gaining is anybody's guess. It is, however, becoming evident that such entities want to see General RK die, so it will play to their advantage. We will play a video we received today as our closure on the status of General RK.
Of the date.
I don't understand that because you can see I'm alive and I'm healthy and I've been well taken care of. So all the propagandas on social media, I don't know where all those things are coming from. As we earlier said before, that we are doing everything possible to put everything on a straight line so that we can focus on the common enemy, which of course is La République du Cameroon. So those people on social media, they should stop creating tension and bringing out fake rumors about us, because you see I'm alive and I'm healthy.
Okay, so please, what time is it now? And today the 12th.
Today, Monday 12th.
Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Amigo, so I can see the two of you. I can see the two of you playing your draft, yeah. Mr. General. So, do you have any idea about this news? About this news?
Well, I have nothing to say because I know it's their duty outside there to be saying things that they are not existing. Because since I arrest my brother here, my main reason to arrest him was not to kill him. So my main reason to arrest him was to put things straight. And right now, I can promise the world that he sitting in front of me, General RK, have abide with me. There are many things we are going wrong. So I see no reason to kill RK, and I want to tell the world now that if they hear people talking of killing of General RK, I will have nothing to say. This is General RK and this is me, and we are alive. We are enjoying ourselves, so we have no problem. The only thing I will tell the world is that they should not keep on forming stories, because those stories that they are forming, I will not tell them lie. They are pushing me to the wall, and if they push me to the wall, they know what I can do at any time. Thank you.
Okay. So the whole world, I hope the whole world will see into this, so they should mind their own business. Whosoever wants to see General RK to come to Ground Zero. Thank you.
On that note, Mr. Chris Bongam, we wish you a warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be live here on Cry Out TV. It's a TV that I always admire for their straightforwardness, for their investigative journalism. And I believe that whatever is not going straight, they are there to dig it up and make it known to the public.
Thank you. My first question to you, in your own words, tell the people who really is Chris Bongam?
Chris Bongam is an Ambazonian who resides in the Middle East, and he is highly engaged in the self-defense activities of Amazonia.
Okay. What exactly is your relationship with the ASC?
Chris Bongam is a stakeholder in the ASC because the ASC is a collaborative platform made up of various self-defense groups. So Chris Bongam is the leader of the ARA, the Ambazonia Restoration Army, which is part of the ASC.
Thank you. What is your working relationship with Pastor John Egiawan?
Pastor John Egiawan has been a member of the ASC up till about, I think about a month ago, that he is no longer a member of the ASC. So the working relationship has been cordial as any other colleague, but has been a little bit more closer as somebody who is a member of the ASC as well.
Okay. We want to inform our audience that we have received a lot of screenshots as evidence from Mr. Bongam related to financial transactions, which we will share after our show, so you can judge for yourselves. This will also enable us black out names in order not to disclose identities. This moves us to our next question. There are a lot of allegations that you have embezzled funds from my trip to Boya through the IG and mafia-like practices on the ground. What can you say about such accusations, and how much money have you so far received from the IG from when you got involved?
Yeah, your question is not surprising to me because I've had a lot of allegations placed against me. There have even been videos out there claiming that I've actually embezzled money meant for Ground Zero. It will be interesting for you and for the viewers to understand that people like me, I'm not in any way trying to blow my trumpet here. People like me have actually put a lot into the struggle. So coming back to your question, I have embezzled no dime as far as my trip to Boya is concerned, or as far as any dime that has passed through me for Ground Zero is concerned.
So, in terms of figures, I know you did send me screenshots. What is the total amount of money that you've received directly, that came directly to you before you transferred to Ground Zero? And what amount of money went directly by you instructing those of the IG to send to Ground Zero? So we want you to start from the 8,000 that was first given sometime in, if I'm not mistaken, April, May, which apparently you made it clear, and also Sofoncha had said that was around the first amount that was disbursed.
All right. I'll start from the 8,000s. The 8,000s, before I go there, I'll make it clear to you and to the viewers that no funds from the ASC has ever passed through me before going to Ground Zero. Anything that has come from ASC to go down to Ground Zero has been directed by me, and it has been sent down to Ground Zero. So no franc has actually passed through me. So coming back to your question, back in May, I believe May, we received $8,000. Each defense group at the moment, at that time, received a sum of $8,000. And at that moment, I was on the sea, and that amount that was destined for ARA was sent to my other colleague of the DOD, and they used that amount for supplies. So that amount actually never reached to me. It never reached me. It was used for supplies.
And this colleague is
Then,
here in the diaspora or in ground zero? Ladies and gentlemen, we are sorry for that little glitch there, witches and wizards working. But anyway, we are back. Mr. Chris, we're back once more. Let me go back to my last question. We want to inform our audience that we have received a lot of screenshots as evidence from Mr. Bongam related to financial transactions, which we will share after our show, so you can judge for yourselves. This will also enable us blackout names in order not to disclose identities. This brings us now to the question. There are a lot of allegations that you have embezzled funds from my trip to Boya through the IG and mafia-like practices on the ground. What can you say about such accusations, and how much money have you so far received from the IG from when you got involved? We want to know, basically, we want to know from the 8,000, and we want to know the total sum that you've received, you know, from the IG. And we also have a question that, you know, it seems you receive monies from other, you know, entities or groups. So we want to know the sum, the total sum you've received from the IG first, and if any money passed through your hands.
all right. Starting from the 8,000s, as I was saying before we got cut off, the 8,000s was sent to a colleague, my own colleague, because two of us went into ASC as representatives of ARA. So it was sent to the other colleague of the DOD, and that money was directed for supplies. That's the response that I got from them.
Is this colleague in ground zero, or do you want to keep his name anonymous? Or can you just give one of his name, if at all you want to keep it anonymous, one of his name, because the people should know where their money went to.
Okay, it went to the DOD, the head of department of the DOD. He's in the US.
Who is that?
It's Comrade Rogers. No, Comrade Rogers.
All right.
It went to him, and I know of part that was actually sent to Ground Zero. I can testify that part was sent to Ground Zero, and the other part was sent to Ground One for supplies. So that is the response that he gave to me, because I wanted to know how the remaining amount was used. He told me that he's directed it for supplies. So I have no problem with that one.
Okay, so when the money went to Ground One for supplies, did your guys receive what was supposed to be supplied to them for you to confirm that it makes up the $8,000?
At that point, you know, I was focused with my own activities on the ground, and there were other activities that were taking place also under the name of the DOD at the time. So there were actions that were going on, and I didn't actually bother to follow up if that amount was used to actually secure the supplies, and were the supplies used in all those activities that were going on. I was less concerned with that at that point.
Well, you understand that if you are the head and there's, you know, you can't give accountability of how money is being spent, which of course I understand that is the issue in Boyo, it is a problem. So we take it that you were supposed to follow up and note from Comrade Rogers that money was...
but Comrade, this one, I know the DOD had been doing a lot of investment, and of late, we started seeing what they were investing on. We know of certain things I don't actually want to expose a lot here. We know of certain equipments that are actually productive right now, which are the investments of the DOD. So it's not only about purchasing goods. They actually the DoD was investing to be producing the goods by themselves. So it's not only about using the money at the time to get some groundnuts and send to ground one to ground zero for activities. So they were putting in money, and we see now the money producing.
Okay. Now, go to the next amount of money after the 8,000
Yeah.
and how it was disbursed.
After the 8,000, we had 4,000 that came in. That 4,000 came in. 2,000 was sent to Comrade Celestine.
That's in the
Who
US.
was the other,
Yeah, in Houston.
yeah, who was the other colleague? It was directed to him. I don't know if he sent it to ground zero or he sent it to ground one for material or what. I'm interested on how much came to me. That's my part of interest. So
Okay.
2000 was to come to me, and I informed the council that I had a project which actually needed a little bit more money,
Yes.
and they added 1,000, so to make it 3. So that 3,000, I directed it to ground one for goods, and goods were bought there. And not only that, I also raised some money from other sources. I also had a colleague, a Boyo colleague from the UK, who supported me, and I directed him also to send the cash also in ground one, and then
How
the
much
Boyo
money
community.
did that colleague in the UK send?
That should be somewhere around 350,000 francs, I believe.
Okay.
And the Boyo community also raised some money, and I also directed to ground one. So in total, I have had
When you
three.
say the Boyo community, is it the Boyo community in the United Arab Emirates or here in America?
No, there is a group, there is a forum that me and my friend created. We created a Boyo forum, and we decided to bring together denizens, the diasporans, the Boyo diasporans. We brought them together, and the initiative was to try to raise funds so that we support the guys back home. So later on, I brought up this initiative to create some sort of a committee or a council, and it will have two representatives from each country in the diaspora, and those two representatives were to try to raise funds and then bring in their own countries, and then bring the funds together, and then we will direct the funds to to ground zero for the activities. So when we brought them together, they actually contributed. First, they contributed $1,100, and it was sent to ground one. We bought some material there. The material that I bought there at the time was 660,000 naira.
Okay.
But how much they contributed, how much the Boyo community contributed was $1,000, 1,100, which in naira was about 350 to 370,000 naira. So how I had to cover up for the remaining amount of money at this particular during this first consignment was when I communicated with a colleague with a Boyo guy in the UK, and then he supported me and sent the money to ground one, which made up the amount.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, we've moved from that now because we want the audience to be taking note of the total amount, and we're going to tally it with what you've sent. So I think we've had 8,000 and we now have 4,000, which of course 2,000 went to Mr. Celestine. So it means that total that has come now to you is 8 plus 2 plus 1,100 plus 300 and something. Is it in pounds that this colleague in the UK?
No, in that is in CFA. The 8,000.
Yes.
Correction, please. That 8,000 didn't come to me.
Yes, I know you did explain that it went to
Yes,
your comrade Roger. We're
Yes.
just trying to add up the amounts. So what's the
All right.
next amount?
Now the next amount now was 7,000. Seven
Yes.
thousands came in, and that 7,000. At this point in time, now we were now dealing with counties.
What month was
Um,
this that the 7,000 came?
the 7,000 came in. I think it should be July or August.
Okay, and that is from the IG.
Yes, from the ASC. So at this point, we had actually the ASC came up with this policy that each representative of any group will have particular counties that he will take charge of. So at that moment, I was no longer operating all over Amazonia as I was doing before. At that moment, I was now operating in particular counties, and I was covering Menchum, Boyo, and Ngoketunja, these three. So the 7,000 came in. And then later on, we had food money. The food money was $2,000 per county. And
After the 7,000, you had
yes,
2,000
so,
per county. So you had 3
yes.
counties.
So I received 2,000 for Menchum. I received 2,000 for Boyo. And in Ngoketunja at the time, there was another group that was operating in Ngoketunja at that moment, away from ARA. And that group was ALF. So the 2,000 from Ngoketunja was divided into 2. I received 1 2, and the other comrade received 800.
Okay. Now,
So,
I don't want us to get it mixed up. 1 2 is coming to your county, but it is not coming to you. Because what we want to know is if it came to you, it just is through you, but you directed it to the people you wanted them
yeah,
to receive. Okay.
yeah,
So, yes, so that's so we have a total of 2,000, 2,000, and 1,200. That's
yeah,
5,200.
yeah.
Continue.
And then after that, we had again received again 2,000 for food for Boyo,
That's
and
for food.
yes, and and the 359,000 from Ngoketunja. So now Menchum, we have another comrade who came in for Menchum because the workload was heavy, and one comrade from Menchum had to come in and relieve me from the activities of Menchum. So he received the 2,000 for Menchum at that point. So meaning I received
What's the name of this
2,000.
comrade, please?
I don't think it's
One name. One
all
name.
right. Ivo, comrade Ivo.
Okay, Comrade Ivo. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So apart from the 2,000s for Boyo, I had only this 359,000 for Ngoketunja. So after that, there was this move that I had to do in Boyo. I had to bring in some experts to come and do some work there. I don't think I will explain everything, because in defense you need to quote certain things.
Yes.
So 500,000 came in to support to complete the amount, because I had to spend up to about 2 millions that particular move. So 500,000 came in from the ASC, and that 500,000, that is how it goes to all the counties. When you want to perform that type of move in your county, there is that 500,000 that come in. So it came in.
Okay. So, any other amounts came in from, did any other amount come in from the IG?
From the ASC, any amount? No.
Okay.
No.
Now, who was the one actually responsible directing this money to the ASC? Is that Mr. Egiawan or Tabenyang Echu?
Well, Mr. Egiawan was like the liaison of the IG to the ASC, and there is a comrade whom I'm not actually going to mention the name. That's the person that usually does the transactions.
Okay.
Probably my transactions. I don't know of other people. He sends, I direct him, he sends it to ground zero, and from ground zero, it's distributed to the counties
Okay.
according to how I prescribe the distribution.
Okay. We want our viewers to understand that we've reached out to John Egiawan and Tabenyang Echu to come and tell their side of the story. Unfortunately, they are afraid to speak out. They are not forced to speak here, but have refused to use any other platform. Don't you think this is only making them more suspect?
Well, I cannot actually speak for anybody. I'm more interested on what concerns me, particularly. Even when I make mention of any other name here, I'm not very comfortable doing that. So, why I'm speaking today, probably I expected the IG and the ASC to make official statements as far as the allegations were concerned. I made the transaction data available, and even on my Facebook wall, actually, I told my audience that I was to make a statement after official statements must have come up from the IG and the ASC as far as the financial transaction is concerned. Because I provided the data, I provided the contacts for all the verifications and confirmation. So it took so long, and I actually felt somehow frustrated because I waited for the statements and they were taking too long. And a lot more people were trying to propagate that particular story that I've embezzled money, particularly um, from the videos that General RK made, and a lot of people shared them on social media. So even back on ground zero, he made a lot of people to believe that I had received 80 million francs CFA from the IG destined for Boyo, and I actually embezzled the money. So that is the origin of this whole charade of embezzlement. So that's how it has been. He has made numerous audios and videos telling people that I've embezzled money from the IG, and that the IG needs to shift me aside, or the ASC needs to shift me aside. So I wonder where all those stories are coming from, because I don't know where the story of 80 million even came from.
Okay. A lot of people are calling for accountability these days. They accuse the IG of being corrupt, selfish, and incompetent. What can you say about the state of the IG, especially those in charge of money?
All right, we are in a revolution, and there is no institution that is 100% perfect. There is no country that is 100% perfect. Even the US, that we believe is very much democratic, has its own loopholes and its strengths. So the IG, I don't occupy any position in the IG. That's something I would like viewers out there to understand. A lot of people call me Chris Bongam of the IG. I am part of the ASC. So if you take the ASC to be the IG, that's when you consider me as somebody occupying a position in the IG. So what I can say about the IG is that um, they are doing their own best, as I can say. They are doing their own best. They also have their own loopholes, as any other organization must have. But I cannot speak for anybody. That's the point.
Okay. How have you been handling the feeding, clothing, and medical expenses of the injured fighters? Some argue that you have sacrificed many lives for personal gain.
Uh, that's it's funny to hear such a question coming from Amazonians out there. Well, if you get back to ground zero to those concerned, you're going to get the feedback that you need. They are going to speak for themselves. They will tell you how we've managed to be where we are today. They will tell you the sacrifices that we both have done. And they are going to also testify to you that no matter how hard it is, we as a people, we generally look for a way to push through. As far as the feeding is concerned, what comes in, what what has been directed for ground zero for feeding, and that concerns me, has gone down and has reached its destination.
Okay.
As far as medical issues are concerned, also, I will also tell you that I've done a lot. Get to Boyo, get to Ngokitunja, get to Menchu, find out from there. You are going to get the responses.
All right. Well, that's not what some people are saying, and even some of the soldiers that we did contact. But now, my next question to you is, who killed Moses Nsom, and why was he killed?
Right. Just a little bit of history before the death of Moses. When I started up in Boyo, the ARA, at some point, Moses was the general commander in Belo. So I spent a lot of money, and he embezzled a lot of money, and he made me to also spend millions on my ballistics. I call it ballistics, and a lot of people don't actually know. They don't know more about that. But I believe, I don't know if you were versed with the situation. At some point, a lot of deaths were being reported in Belo, in Boyo, the La Republic soldiers just collapsing and dying and stuff like that. So that's what I call ballistics. So I invested a lot of money on that through the Moses guy, but he embezzled the money, and what he did was not working. So I stopped. I decided to shift him aside and work with other people. So that is when RK came into play. I instituted RK as the general commander in charge of discipline and strategy. You had Bullet, who was in charge of deployment, and you had Rene, who was in charge of finances and logistics. So everything was going on well. And at some point, I got reports from General RK and the others that the Moses guy has indulged in, in counter activities. So they were complaining to me, and I told them that they are the ones on the ground. They know exactly what's going on the ground, and they are the ones to manage the activities on the ground. I can just try to provide the support that I can provide. So at some point, they told me that they were to they needed to judge him. They needed to bring him to book and judge him for accountability for the embezzlement and all those things, all the vices that he was committing. So one morning when I went for work and I came back, I received a message from General RK. It was a report already. He sent me a report that they arrested Moses and they found him guilty for, he named all the crimes, embezzlement, and actually because he wanted to sell out Amigo at some point. So unfortunately for him, he made a call thinking that he was talking to the divisional officer setting up Amigo, but that was Amigo's new number. So that was a proof that he could not actually deny. So RK sent me a report of all the crimes that they found him guilty of, and that is how they executed him. So he was executed by the boys on the ground. And if you ask me, those that I was working directly with on the ground was RK, was Bullet, and was Rene.
Okay. Well, there's allegation that it was Amigo and that you masterminded that. Also, our findings came out that Moses was the spiritual doctor to them and not really a commander. How is that true? Or was he playing both roles?
He was playing both roles at the beginning. Now, I came to know about him because the guys at the moment, at the time, they didn't have access to a WhatsApp, and he had the WhatsApp. So that is how I was linked to him. And somewhere along the line, I actually discovered, I realized that he was not a very straightforward guy. And I complained to them that I wasn't feeling too comfortable working with this guy because in a week, I would send money 5 times to this guy. He will give different complaints all the time. A soldier is sick. We have to go out and there are no stones and stuff like that. So when I give today, tomorrow I give, and then after a day I give. It ringed.
Are
It
you
started
talking
ringing
about the
on
giving
online.
where you're telling the IG to send, or the giving where you are giving from your
No,
pocket?
no. At this point, the IG hadn't. This was from January to about March. The IG hadn't actually recognized or embraced self-defense. So the IG, the ASC came, I think, April.
Okay, so how are
The
you?
ASC
Was this money
came.
coming from your pocket? That's what we want to know. Or it was coming
I've
from.
spent I have spent fortunes in this issue. I've had some support also from. I made mention of a comrade in the UK.
Okay.
Although that comrade supported me, I think it was already around May, if I'm not, yeah, May or June. So I've had a few people uh, who had the confidence in me and the trust in me. And from time to time, when I cry out to them that this is what I want to do on the ground, but I'm running short, they will come in and support me. So when I started, I had some support also from the DoD. So
Okay.
when I started in December, I mean serious self-defense stuffs. I had some support back then from the DoD, and that was already in January.
How much are we talking
So
about?
January, um, back then uh, I had $10,000 from them, and
And
then
this came
later
directly
on,
to you from the DOD,
yeah,
or
also directly to the ground, and I had also another amount that was I think 4,000. That was January, February, yeah. So
okay.
and at that moment, I was still operating. I had these camps in Meme. I had this camp in Lidialum. I had in Bangam, that's Kupe Maninguma. I had in Boyo. So at that moment, that was when I was still building up. I was still building up. So they came in with that support and added to what I could have at
Okay.
that point, and that's how I pushed up to when the IG, the ASC came in.
Okay. There is the curious case of General Arki. You are accused of being the mastermind behind his arrest. What can you tell the people about this problem?
All right, the issue of RK is an issue that a lot of people don't actually know how it started. It's as old as the revolution, also, if I may say. This issue of RK started way back in May, early May, after the death of Rene, who was the financial secretary and the logistic and in charge of logistics. RK picked up the financial booklet and the financial bag. So at that moment, nobody knew how much was in the keeping of late Rene. Nobody knew how much had been used from what went in because he took the booklet and up till date, nobody has ever seen. set eyes on that booklet. So I told him to present uh, the booklet to the guys to go through and to confirm how much was left behind by Rene. He never did. So it was after some pressure from the guys on the ground that he came out and said Rene left 1.4 million. But I know it was far more than that, because whenever I sent support or whenever some cash came in from any angle, Rene was there taking all the notes down, the expenditure, he noted everything, and he updated me on what was left and what has been used. So unfortunately, when he left, when he died, when he passed out, RK took the cash and the booklet, and nobody knew how much was in that financial bag. So later on, I called on them to have an elections, to come to elect and come out with somebody who will replace Rene, because initially there were three of them. Now only two are left. That's RK and Bullet. So I said there is a need for the financial secretary to be reinstated, but he never wanted it. I also said I need sub commanders, because I wanted a decentralized system of army. But he resisted. He resisted all these moves all along, and that is how I started again sending money directly to RK. So after some time, I got some reports from boys on the ground that the cash that I direct to them, RK doesn't use the money, because I send money for him to do one or two things. Produce this for the asymmetric warfare. He doesn't do. So when I got the report, I started raising eyebrows. So what actually pushed me to ask for accountability from RK directly was when I sent some money. That money came in from the Boyo community, and it was meant for mobile phones. So he was to buy 8 mobile phones to give to the sub commanders, because I said we come out with 8 sub commanders, we will come out with 8 camps, and then we are going to actually coordinate the action in Boyo. So he collected the money, and he never bought the phones. So I had the pressure, because that money wasn't coming directly from me. That money came from people, and I needed to also give feedback to those people that the phones were bought. So I pushed him, and the phones were not forthcoming. So I told him that at this point, it means all what I've been getting, like reports from the ground, are true. So can you come up with accountability? How you use all this money? He wasn't able to come up with accountability. He told me that okay, he's going to come up with accountability later on, but till today, no accountability. Um, that is how I decided to stop funding directly through RK, and I decided to go directly to the commanders, to the sub commanders, because uh, at some point we managed to create other camps, and we had commanders that were taking charge of those camps. So I started funding directly to the commanders. So I believe there are screenshots of some of the transactions to those commanders. And if you want, you can get the contact numbers, you contact those commanders, and you get the story from them. How much I've sent, when I started sending the money to them, and all those stories.
Okay.
So now, the issue of RK, let me come back to it now. The
First,
issue
before we get there, how much money
Yeah.
total did you send to RK before you cut off sending the monies to RK and started sending it to the commanders?
Right now, it's unfortunate that I had changed my mobile at some point, but what I came out with, I think I shared some screenshots with you, but RK himself acknowledges somewhere around 5 million. That's what he has acknowledged to the other guys, even the guy of the civil department, and other people. But we understand that the first video that he made, he said, I've never sent a dime. Another video, he says, I've sent a token. He has made controversial videos. Some videos he says, I've not sent a dime. Another, he says, I've sent something, uh, and it's just a token.
Okay, let's forget
So,
about what RK said. So you tell us what you know that you sent approximately.
all right, let's just go by his own estimate.
Okay, so let's go
Let's
by
go
his
by his
estimate of
estimate.
about 5 million.
Yes, let's go by his own estimate of about 5 million. And what I would like you to understand here is that that 5 million that he's talking about, I've not even received that amount of money from the ASC to direct to Boyle as one county. I've not received for a particular county, for one county, I've not received up to that amount of money. So that's the first thing I would like viewers and you to understand, so that we will begin to know. It's easy to talk. It's people like to talk, and it's simple to just say whatever thing you think, but reality is different. So now going back to the RK issue, when he was not transparent in his dealings, Bullet and Amigo, they went up to him and they told him that there are a lot of things that are not going on well within the ranks of the army. They also needed accountability. So that is the root cause of all these problems you have in Boyo. So when they demanded accountability, RK started having some bitter feelings towards these two guys because they were the only people to actually come up to him and ask for accountability. Other soldiers were afraid to come up to him and ask for accountability because anybody that tried to do that was imprisoned or was tortured. So when these two guys asked for accountability, it became a problem. So from there, he started setting up Bullet. All the time, he would tell me to transfer Bullet out of Boyo. He would tell me to assign Bullet elsewhere out of Boyo. And I was like, what's going on? I tried to follow the developments. I asked what was the matter. He couldn't actually give me any clear problem, any clear error that has actually come from Bullet's own part. So I went back to Bullet and I tried to consult him, to talk with him in a way. I never had anything from Bullet. Bullet never actually recognized that this is what I've done, and I believe that it's wrong. So I decided to put the two of them on a joint call to try to talk with two of them at the same time to get the crux of the matter. But when I connected the two of them, RK had to drop. He dropped from the call saying that the network or whatsoever. So I said, all right. So I encouraged the two of them to sit down and talk. But RK was not given the chance. So I had to tell Bullet to go to the other camp, meet RK, talk together, and resolve this issue. Bullet went there and was almost lynched by one young soldier. So he was commanded to sit down. He was tortured. He was maltreated, malhandled. So when he came back, he wasn't very happy. So I told him that I actually wanted this issue to be resolved. Two of you need to sit down and talk. I encouraged him again to go back there. So at the end, uh, when Arcade decided to give in for the election stuff to elect the sub commanders and the financial secretary, I told Bullet to go there. First, you guys should have an executive meeting, talk and try to iron out whatever problem you have, the two of you have. Bullet rejected that he wasn't to go there, but I encouraged him to go. He went, finally, he went there, and it was something else. At the end of the day, I just came back from when I returned from work and I called. Fortunately, they were in a meeting, and a lot of allegations were placed against Bullet that he collected some millions of nairas in Nigeria to bring guys over and never brought the guys. And that was way back in January. I said, no, look, sorry, in December, I said, look, I am the person that prepared all these guys over there to come over. So you cannot be accusing this guy over what that money, that amount of money was spent and it was sent down there by me. So I told this guy that I told RK that those are allegations. The money was not even sent directly to Bullet. It was sent to a friend of mine in Nigeria who helped them, who moved along with them to all those places that they had to go. So now, when I came back, I called in, and it was an opportunity for me to clear that those allegations. But when I started talking, the phone was on hands-free. When I started talking, RK got up with a lot of disturbance, noise, and nobody could hear me. So I had to drop. So at the end of the day, RK told the guys that they needed just one main man in Boyo. So technically, he kicked out Bullet because of all those allegations which were unfounded. So he kicked out Bullet, and that is how he became the overall general. I didn't have a problem with that. My problem now was when, after that, he arrested Bullet, Amigo, and then he sent them to jail. And he threatened to lynch the two. So I spoke to them for over 2 hours on phone, and I had to try to calm down their tempers. They actually asked a 10 million ransom from me, that if I don't provide 10 millions, they are going to lynch the guys. And the others from the background were actually saying that it's that call that's disturbing. They would have been burying these guys by now. So I managed to calm them down, and I told them that it's better you release these guys. If you have any investigations, as you are saying that you want to do investigations, let them out, do the investigations. They said, no, if we leave them, they are going to run away. I said, no, I'm going to be the guarantor. I will make sure.
Before I forget, do you have any proof that RK demanded 10 million CFA as ransom for RK and for Amigo and Bullet while he was in detention?
Well, that was on call. The unfortunate thing is that it wasn't on chat for me to have a screenshot of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, these guys, Bullet spent um, about 1 month, and Amigo spent about one month, 2.5 weeks in detention. So I had a condition. They gave me a condition that these guys, we are going to release Bullet on condition that he will move out of Boyo. So I had no other option. I needed these guys out because the situation was not very comfortable. So I said, all right, if that is the only thing that you can do, okay, release him. Let me send him to maybe Ngoketunja or whoever, since I'm also the one in charge there. So later on, Bullet was released. And 2 days after, he was rearrested. He was rearrested 2 days after. And before that, I had already made arrangements for him to move. That was on a Friday. He needed to move the next day. So it was after some explanations that the guys decided to let go Bullet. So he moved out the next day, but Amigo was held back in prison. So they told me, RK and his assistant, they told me that they wanted to handle Amigo's case in a different way. And I got the intel that they wanted to lynch Amigo again. The reason being that Amigo is somebody that has a lot of popularity, actually. So he was like the greatest danger. He was like somebody who could knock what they wanted to do, or who could be a problem to what they actually wanted to do. So I tried to talk to them. I talked to them, convinced them, and one day Amigo was allowed to go out and bask himself on the sun. And the next day, he was again allowed, and fortunately or unfortunately, the La Republique guys were attacking on that day also. So everybody was let loose from the prison. And when Amigo came out, he alerted me that he was escaping. I said, okay, move to Babanki, go up there and meet Bullet. So he escaped, he went to Babanki and met Bullet. So when he went there, just a few days after, this is around July, just a few days after, RK eliminated, arrested and eliminated. He sent his guys to arrest General Rambo, Shina Rambo. So he was arrested and later uh, assassinated. So that was the turning point of all this. Because before then, there is one old man from Ginicom who was also arrested, and they arrested him and detained him for 3 days. And I got the information that he's a cardiac somebody. So I told them that it's important you release this man, but they never listened to me. I requested RK to release that man almost immediately because he's a patient, but no. He kept on telling me that he was to talk with the commander in charge of that case to see if they will release him. But later on, they tortured that old man to death. So already I was already angry. I told them that I never created this army in Boyo for us to be killing civilians. So the issue of Rambo came up just some few days later, and that made me super angry. So if you go to social media, you have one audio made video by Capo Daniel. That audio I spoke in the dialect, and I was briefing other comrades. I was very angry because I had advised Rambo to move out of Boyo because I saw the danger coming. I knew that RK was after him, so I told him that he should move out of Boyo, even for some maybe 2 weeks. I told a cousin of his in the US that he should advise Rambo to move out so that because these guys are after him. But the cousin never actually, the cousin told me that both of them are born and bred in Bello, and all of them have the right to exist and to live in Bello. So when Rambo was assassinated, I was very angry. And again, they again launched an attack in Babanki. They wanted to eliminate Bullet, Amigo, and Ebube. So that was what made me to be very angry. And I came and I made that audio. In that audio, although Capo Daniel and the rest, they decided to go out there and and propagate their own story,
We
not
understand.
actually, yeah, not actually translating what is in that audio. I said in that audio, I said that I had advised that Rambo should move out, and even told his cousin, Comrade Peter, to tell this guy to move out. But they have delayed, and look at what has happened. So I said, now I've stopped working, I've stopped funding Arki, and I am now funding the commanders of the camps. I'm working directly with the commanders of the camps. And because of what Arki has started doing on the ground, killing civilians and killing fellow soldiers, I was going to continue to work with other commanders and to just to put him aside. So that's the message that I made on that particular audio. But I was surprised to get people saying all sorts of things out there. So now with the attacks in Babanki, the attempts of RK to eliminate Bullet and Amigo and Ebube, it made the situation to get worse. So at some point, this gentleman told me that they prefer to go back home and die. They will not want to die in Babanki, because if they die here, their families were not going to see their corpses. So they prefer to get back and die back home. All right, I said, okay, since I'm working with other commanders, let me continue working with other commanders, and I try to soften the area to make the environment conducive so that when you guys get in, you will not be received with so much hostility. So at some point, um, yeah, I started preparing and also buying some logistics, putting logistics in place for them to get back. And some Boyo guys also assisted with some few stuffs, and that is how these guys moved back to Boyo. So, and I will remind you and the audience that during this time, after the death of Shina Rambo and the expulsion of Amigo, Bullet, and Bube, there was no action taking place in Bello. Bello was like a graveyard.
Mr. Bongam,
So,
what was
yes,
the
please.
cause or the reason of Shinarambo being executed? I want some of the audience to understand. I think I know so far from my investigations, but let's understand, because we live in a Western world. We know why, but can you let the people to know the reason why he was executed by,
All right.
you said, RK?
Shina Rambo was a vibrant soldier, and he was the guy that was highly dreaded by the La Republic guys, and even Alaji Dampolo actually called him at some point and proposed a whooping sum of 50 millions I should collect and sit quiet. He told me that that's the last thing he could do. So he was the main guy that was carrying out activities in Bello at the time. I mean, fiscal activities, because a lot of underground activities were going on, and they were sponsored first by me. So RK also saw him as a threat, because RK, as a good soldier as he is, he has, because I say a good soldier because he has he has the know-how. He has the know-how. He has revolutionary ideas. I've worked with him, and I'm not ashamed or afraid to say he has ideas that are also very good to promote and make the revolution to progress. So Shina Rambo was a threat to RK, and he had the name General Shina Rambo. So RK went out there and said, you cannot have two cocks in the same compound. That it's difficult for two cocks to crow in the same compound. That's in quotes. I'm using his same words. So so he started looking for any avenue to track this guy down. At some point, it came to my notice that Shina Rambo had been accused for homosexuality by some of the boys in his camp. So the boys actually locked him up, and they reported the issue to me, and I was tongue tied. I never had anything to say because I was shocked as well. Okay. So I said, okay, at the end of the day, you are the ones on the ground. Told them that they are the ones to handle it down there. So what they did, they went for other findings to see if any after effect to
all right.
that
Well,
particular.
see, we now, at least the audience now knows we're already 1 hour into the program. We didn't really plan for it to be more than an hour. I want us to move to the next question, and let's wrap it up because we already passed the hour. Mr. Bongam, we want you to listen to this little segment. It's a small video. We want our producers to play this video. It's about 30 seconds.
Okay.
We have not been receiving anything, and we have never received anything. But a few little tokens Chris Bongam has sent to us. He told us he's doing that out of his own free will, meaning that he's doing that from his own pocket. For that, we respect it and continue managing.
Of General RK's arrest. Why wasn't he arrested before? Why only after his accusations of embezzlement against you? Well, please
All
just
right,
let's take it faster so we don't keep our viewers for a long time.
Now I was in the course of giving you some details, but I'm going to make it brief now. So I told you that when these guys went to Babanki, and then he killed after the death of the old man from Ginicom, and then the assassination of Shina Rambo, and the attacks in Babanki. RK already his arrest. I approved his arrest at that time. I told the guys that you need to arrest this guy and you need to judge him. You need to bring him to judgment. You actually need to. He cannot be doing all these things, and he is targeting everybody who could expose his mismanagement or his embezzlement. So it was already evident that since he is targeting other guys and other people like the three guys in Babanki, he was to be arrested. So back home, RK had um, propagated information that I had uh, collected 80 millions and I had embezzled 80 million from the IG. So the boys around him looked at me as somebody who had embezzled money meant for them. So those boys were behind him and they were actually supporting him. They were with him, they were like a shield to him. So that is why he had that so much support. But when the reality came in, when the boys started realizing that RK had been deceiving them, telling them that I have embezzled money, where in the real sense of it, he is the one that actually embezzled because the money that he received, he never used the money. So when the boys realized that that is what has been going on, that is when the boys actually turned against him and his arrest was easy.
Okay.
So that's it. It's not like it just came when RK started making videos about embezzlement. He started making these videos, I think, in August.
Okay.
Yeah, in
Now,
August.
let's move to our next question. Chris Ano has publicly stated that it is the decision of the Boyo Council to hold RK indefinitely. We have a press release from ASC and Chris Ano. We want you to take a look at it. You know, we know you must have seen it. Now, our question to you is, who exactly has the right to judge RK? Is it his fellow commanders or the IG and ASC?
The truth about this issue is the IG has little or nothing to do with RK's arrest. I am going to say this loud and clear for you and the audience to understand. The IG has actually little or nothing to do with RK's arrest. RK's arrest has to deal with Ego, a Bullet, and Ebube. Because when he chased them out of Bello or Boyo and eliminated Shino Rambo and other soldiers, because uh, Rambo is not the only soldier that has died because of RK. Him and his boys have also assassinated some other soldiers. So his arrest was not to be ordered by anybody. The guys knew that they were targets, and the best way for them to defend themselves was to get RK arrested and actually judge him. So at some point, the guys were wounded, and it was like if they meet him and he's coming like with firepower, they are going to take him out. So
Okay,
the
now,
truth of the matter is,
yes, go ahead.
yeah,
Just summarize.
the truth of the matter is that RK had actually stepped on a lot of toes. So he had made enemies with a handful of people, and it was just a culmination of all those errors that he made that where it was evident that at some point they were going to hunt him.
Okay.
So the issue, people are looking at RK's arrest and trying to tie it to the videos that he made against me. It's funny. Character assassination to me is nothing because I've stood the test of time, as I can say. I'm not like boasting, but I'm merely saying that when people are singing all those songs, and I know that I am clear, I'm doing my work and I'm doing my best, and what they are saying is not true, I have little time for that. But
Okay.
it's just that his arrest came after he had made a series of videos, and people just thought that it's because of those videos that he was arrested. No,
So
that's not
just
the
a
point.
coincidence.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence because
Okay.
his arrest was planned after the assassination of Rambo and the attacks on Babanki, on Amigo, Bullet, and Ebube.
Okay,
And because
so
even on one of the attacks, one Babanki guy was also eliminated.
okay,
So
let's
that was far back in July, August.
okay. Now let's move to the next. Looking at RK's profile, his education and military achievements, he is clearly a big asset on the ground. Many are worried that the government is either waiting for these infighting to lead to their self-destruction or weaken the forces enough for the military to come in and finish the job. Doesn't this situation bother you and the IG or the ASC or even the people of Boyo? What? Go ahead.
I will shock you with a revelation here. The revelation is this. RK, in reality, he organizes the masses, yes, but in practical action, he has done very little or nothing. That is the truth. I'm not biased one bit. Now, let me bring you instances. Bullet was the guy who was in charge of deployment. He was the one taking the guys to the field and back. RK has been to the field, uh, I think maximum should be 3 times. I'm not discrediting anybody. I'm just being factual. And to be frank with you, no La Republique top has gone down, has been gone down by RK. I'm not discrediting RK. I'm just being factual. So I want to answer your question of RK being an asset to Amazonia.
Yes.
Everybody, all the soldiers on the ground, I have huge respect for them. I respect them a lot for the fact that they are on ground zero and for the fact that they keep getting the sound of the gun. It's something for me to respect them.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I'm saying that what RK did, like the 1st of October organization of the celebrations in Bello, I think that is the greatest achievement of RK. And I give him a cap for that also. But as far as action is concerned, no, count him out.
Okay.
Count him totally out.
Now, what is your solution to this problem? It's good. I mean, it is an expectation that there should be peace. I mean, think about it this way. RK has his camp. He has the people that love him for the things that he's done. And General Amigo has his camp. He has people that love him for the things that he has done and he keeps doing. How can you bring peace where both camps, just like they grew up together from the same neighborhood and they call themselves brothers? Look at the video they sent playing draft. That they can play draft and have, unity amongst their soldiers with no bad belly, with nobody thinking about revenge or doing something bad. The people of Southern Cameroon, the people of Boyo will applaud you for that. How can we have a solution?
All right. Thank you for that very important question. It hasn't been easy to bring them up to this point. I will say this without any gainsaying that 2 weeks ago, RK was supposed to be a corpse. That is the truth I'm telling you. There is a call that I made. I'm not like boasting about anything. And that call actually saved RK. That is the truth about this matter. What happened was when RK was arrested, just few days after that, because there are a series of court sessions that the guys took him to. They asked a lot of questions and he answered, and they were taking videos. So all the atrocities that he had committed, they brought them up and he acknowledged. So they took videos and all those things. So on Monday, on a certain Monday, some audios circulated on social media, and those audios were made by RK. It was audio call between him and a member of AMF, and he was saying that some funny videos might soon emerge, and if they come up, people should understand that he actually he didn't do all those things willingly. So he was like playing a game, playing a fast one on the guys, whereas the guys uh, where they had the mind to actually solve the issue and to make things to be normal. But those audios provoked a situation on the ground and the pressure that the diaspora thought that they were mounting. So the situation changed and RK was almost lynched. So I made a call. I think I shared that audio with you or something.
Yes. Yes.
I made a call and I recorded that particular call. RK at that point was almost lynched. So, what saved him first was that I had to forgive him. Had it been I never forgave RK at that time, RK would have been wiped out. Because from the call, you could hear the guys on the background actually uh, 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 agitating.
Yes.
So,
I personally
yes, I
also
told
pleaded
them
with
that
Amigo.
I spoke with RK and I told him that, all right, I've forgiven him. Now, the greatest task was to get the guys to forgive him because what he had done was somehow was unforgivable, as I can say. To
Well,
chase your fellow comrades out of the place and you still go out there to try to eliminate them and things like that. It was something that had to make even people who were people to lose their sanity. So I had to plead and I had to try to convince the guys to have a second thought. So
okay.
there was a meeting the next day, and all the other commanders, all those other guys that were chased out of Boyo of Bello by RK, some other guys were also chased out who went up there, who went up to RK to ask for accountability. So it was not only Amigo Bullet and Ebube. There were a lot more. So they had to come back. They came back the next day and in a unanimous vote, after assessing all the atrocities and everything, they unanimously agreed that the penalty was a death penalty. So it had to take a lot of time, a lot of effort to still try to get the guys to change their minds. So
Thank
it
you.
hasn't been easy.
We we
What people just sit out there and think, it hasn't been easy.
we understand that you've tried because I personally reached out to you. I talked to Amigo. I believe that you've done your best, but your best is not good enough. So there is still more for you to do because it will be a good thing that the people out there, you people should come out and say shame to those that are putting fuel in the flame that wants to benefit something out of the chaos in Boyu. If you do that, you will be respected. Amigo will be respected. And if they can come back, I enjoyed the video that was sent with them playing draft. Let's not take time out of this. I think the audience, they are understanding now. Let's move to the next. Some of your brothers from Boyu are calling you a traitor, an opportunist. Some of your so-called elites like Ntumfoin, Bohebet, Chia Innocent, and Capo Daniel are angry that you did not involve them in solving this problem. Some are even calling for your head. What can you tell them?
I understand. I have had trade messages. I've had a lot of uh, messages out there attacking me. It's. I would like the audience to understand. I would like particularly senior comrade Tumfoimbo Herbert, uh, Innocent Chia, and the rest to understand that this issue uh, had taken a little more than 6 months. So we have I've actually tried to solve this issue without the third party. So it has just been too difficult to actually solve it. At some point, the Boyo community put in place a fact-finding committee to dig deep and understand the causes of the problems in Boyo. And their findings were revealing. Their findings pointed the fingers towards RK, as I've made clear here. So the fact finding committee tried also to come up with solutions to this issue, but some of the comrades who made up part of the fact finding committee were threatened, were called on anonymous calls by RK and his surrogates, and they were threatened. So some of them had to actually drop out of the fact finding committee and allow the issue. So a lot of people uh, had to shy away from this issue because their lives were at stake.
Okay.
So it came to this point that Bullet, Amigo, and Ebube went back to Boyo, and they went back to Boyo for work. They didn't go back to attack RK. They went back for work. And when they went back, that is when we had action. That is when action restarted in Bello since after the death of General Rambo.
Okay.
So we started having action, but RK was instead attacking Bullet, Amigo, and the other guy who came back for work. So it was after his constant attacks again that these guys decided that, all right, it's now enough. We are going to pick him out.
Okay.
So
Now let's
he was picked out.
let's move to the next.
He was picked. He was picked, and we have tried to resolve the issue, and we are here today. And I'm glad that they are actually improving in their cordiality. They are growing. They are growing back their friendly nature, their intimacy as it was before. They are nursing it. They have nursed it. They are watering it, and it's growing. So we can see how they are interchanging with words and smiles, and they are playing their chess and things like that. So we believe tomorrow will be better than today.
Thank you. This question, now we're going to questions because we didn't plan to be here for an hour, more than an hour. This question comes directly from one of RK's most loyal soldier. I'm not going to release his name. I believe you've exchanged messages. You don't know the person, but from the evidence that you sent to me and our investigation could tell that that is coming from this same soldier that sent this question. And it goes thus. What did you do, or what do you have to say about the 500,000 CFA francs you received from the kidnapped commissioner from Bambui? We have a video of the commissioner conversing.
All right. I don't know what he's talking about. I've never received any 500,000 from the kidnap of any soldier. I've not taken a franc from the arrest of anybody on ground zero.
Okay. Well,
Not a dime.
he promised to send me the video. I believed him, and I did not want him to feel like I will not ask his question. So if I have that video, I'm going to share it with you, because I think there are faces there where I will have to keep it, as classified information. So just so you know.
One point.
Yes.
One point there. I was contacted by somebody in South Africa who happens to be a son of that commissioner, and he is high. He's he's a valiant Ambazonian as far as this revolution is concerned. So he pleaded on me to try and assure the release of his dad. And actually, the dad is not somebody who is like against the revolution. So I spoke to RK and the guys that, see, this guy, this man has his kids, and the kids are contributing even to my trip to Boya and paying their citizen levy. So they sent me a proof to show that they just paid in some money into my trip to Boya. So I spoke to RK and I said, okay, I told them that, all right, you are going to support the guys, look for something around 500K, send to them. Immediately they release you at that, send to them as a motivation because down there they need support. That is what I told them. I had no financial transaction with whosoever concerning that particular case. I spoke to them and I was ready that upon the release, they are going to send you guys the cash when the release is confirmed. But they decided to hold him back, and at the end of the day, other problems came up, and I don't know when he was released again because we never spoke about that again.
Was this
So there was no
500,000
money.
sent, and who did they send it to? Did the son of the commissioner
It
inform you?
wasn't sent. It
Okay.
wasn't sent.
All right, let's
Because
move to
I
the
said
next.
I informed. Okay.
Yeah. Chris, in addition to the fact that the IG was sending money to Boyo through you, you were also getting money from 3 different WhatsApp groups made up of Boyo sons and daughters meant to take care of Ground Zero fighters. Today, there are accusations from these stakeholders that you scammed them of their money. Fighters have also narrated how you told them several times that you were mostly spending your private money and as enough support wasn't coming from the people. I know you've already talked about the fact that you had money coming from the groups from Boyo. I don't know if, from what you said, the people from Canada, the Boyo community in Canada, are involved in this money. But let me continue. Can you release to some auditors, say in IG, a statement with how much you collected from all these groups alongside receipts to balance up with what you transferred to Ground Zero fighters? That's the first question.
I would have been.
We have 4 questions from those people.
So we go question by question.
Yes,
I
just
suppose.
summarize it, please, because we're getting.
All right. I would have been glad if those sources came out with the exact amount because one group gave in 240,000. I know about that one. Another group gave in 450,000 thereabout.
That's in
And then this
CFA.
other one, yes, in CFA.
Okay.
Then this other group gave in 700,000. 700,000 was sent to Ground Zero, and I updated that particular group that I had sent the money, and the confirmation was okay. So these 240,000, it was when these comrades were still in Babanki. And I told you that I had to prepare some stores for them to get back. I got a stick and I got some groundnuts. And then I also paid for some groundnuts through one particular comrade. He works now with the Boyo Council. He works in the logistic department. So I gave him 1.5 supplies. And he had to play some gymnastics somewhere along the line. So 240 and 450 will make up about, just say 250 and 450 to make the calculation easy, will give us 700K. So the 700K, I completed the money with 800 to make it 1.5, and I sent, and it was directed for 4 cartons of stones.
That
So I don't
800
know
came
if
from
I
your
answered.
pocket.
The 800K was already on the ground, part of the money from the ASC.
Okay. Now, let's go to the next question. You had already answered the next question concerning Shinarambo, concerning Moses. But their question come like this, that during the call that Moses called Amigo, thinking that he was talking to the SDO or the person that you mentioned.
Please, take it all over again. There was a hitch somewhere and I didn't get you from
Okay.
the start.
The next question from the Boyo, the sons and daughters of Boyo in Canada comes like this.
Yeah.
They're explaining that Moses had called Amigo thinking he was talking to the SDO, revealing information. So they feel that because of that, it can instead be likened that Amigo is the one that caused his death. And how can you accuse General Auke for such killing? So, in other words, they feel like because he had called Amigo thinking he was calling the SDO, and they felt like he was giving information out, so they're trying to attribute the killing of Moses to Amigo rather than Arke.
All right. At that time, I was not versed with Amigo.
Yes.
So I was working with RK, Bullet, and Rene. So the person who gave me uh, any sort of complaint about Moses was RK. So,
Okay.
and I had earlier taken a decision not to work with Moses again because actually with Moses he embezzled more than 2.7 million from me. So I was already angry with him. I just kept him aside and I continued with these three guys. So RK came in. RK told me, enumerated a handful of issues that Moses is doing, which are not very good. So and he was seeking for my advice. I told them it's there on screenshots. I told them that they are the ones on the ground. They are the ones that understand the situation on the ground, and they are the ones to handle the situation. So that's
Okay.
all I can say.
Okay.
So they took their decision. They took their decision and came back. I just had a report. I just got but a report. I told them that I had wiped out Moses as far as my dealings are concerned because he had embezzled a lot of money and he had not actually produced what he had to. So
Okay.
I'm no more dealing with him. I don't have any dealings with him. And you should sit down, talk, and try to handle the situation and handle it the best way you can handle. So they made their decision, and RK was the same person who came in and gave me a report that after investigation, this is what has happened. We found Moses guilty of this, guilty of this, guilty of this, and guilty of trying to betray a fellow fighter, amigo, and other fighters. And for
Okay.
that reason, they have executed him, and the community was okay with the execution.
All
That
right.
is what he told me. It's there on screenshots.
All right, thank you. I'll look at the screenshots. You sent me a whole lot of screenshots. So now let's move to the third question. General Ake jailed General Amigo and Bullet for embezzlement. When they were out of jail, you requested 6 million from Boyo community and sent them out to fortify themselves and fight back at General Ake. You have fabricated a lot of stories that RK was receiving money from government, which does not make any sense because fighting was still going on and forces dying on both sides. You started going after RK when you people started having differences. Isn't it true that you are the source of all problems in Boyo today? That's their question. I normally, anyway, go ahead.
That's from Canada, right?
Yes, that's the Boyo, the sons and daughters of Boyo community in
Um,
Canada.
First, I will first of all debunk that issue of requesting 6 million. You said 6 million?
6 million. Yeah, it was 6000000. So,
No, I have never requested 6 million from anybody that I wanted to fortify these guys to. I've never requested any amount like that.
okay.
What I did, I had the intention to bring in somebody to come and prepare the boys. And I reported in one of our Zoom meetings that uh, because somebody came up with an issue of finances. And I said, right now I have headache because somebody that I've been trying to bring into ground zero and I had not actually succeeded in bringing him in had just called me that he has stepped into amber. So I was aware that I had to spend money, and Menchum alone costed me a little above 1.5 million. Buyo costed me about 2 million. And I told the Buyo guys that as we speak now, I have to spend 2 millions. for somebody who is coming in to work on the boys. And a lady from Britain, a lady from UK, she was now telling me that, so I'm saying this, which is already, it shows that the man is already around. I'm saying this, that how can they raise that money to give me to cover that project that I'm talking about? So I was angry. I told her that I have not requested any money from anybody. I'm simply explaining that right now I have an issue that I have to spend up to 2 million francs. And I don't actually want to talk a lot on other things uh, apart from that particular project, because it's a project that I followed for over 1.5 months. And believe me, not even a dime came from the Boyo community.
Okay, good. So
Not
let's
a
move to
dime.
the next question then. It is estimated from fighters themselves and eyewitness accounts that your reportings on the killing of La Republique soldiers by Amber soldiers in Bello was less than 20% true. People think that you were doing all that as a means of getting money from IG and others. Where were you getting your information from, and why were you falsifying it?
I've never falsified any information. That's the first thing I would like to to make clear to everybody. The killings in Bello and in Boyo were real.
Okay.
Um, we were using what I call ballistics, and that was the first initiative I brought up, and that is when Moses embezzled a lot of money from me,
Okay.
millions on
All
that
right.
project. So after that, I came in with other sources, and it was evident the La Republique guys were dying on a daily basis. They were being transported to Bamenda, to the mortuary. On a day, you have 2 ambulances transporting them. You have this reporter, this BBC reporter. Um, what's the name again? He's based in Bamenda. Um, Randy Joe. He used to report. You after this, you can get to him and try to
All right.
investigate, try to find out from him.
I'll talk to Randy. Let's move on. Let's move on
Yes,
because
try to find out from him.
okay.
Those dates were real.
Okay.
Even in Gokitunja, it's been going on there, and it's the same initiative. So
Okay.
it's something that's real.
We want to thank the sons and daughters of Boyo community in Canada. We also want to thank one of General Arke's loyal soldier and a couple of concerned Southern Cameroonians who choose to stay anonymous. We'll now take a few questions from our audience, time permitting, just a few, because I think by now we must have touched those questions that a lot of people were really expecting us to ask, and then we'll get to the end of this episode of our
All right.
guest. Yes. So questions. Okay. How is the IG connected here? Chivo. How can you say this? All right. Next question. I think I am not understanding the question from this person. Okay. Where do you get all that money from that people are able to embezzle from you?
All right. In my analysis, I made mention of the fact that I got a little support from some trusted friends
Yes.
who are confident in what I am doing.
Okay.
And then what came in from initially when I started, I said the DOD actually supported
Yes.
me,
Yes.
the
You did
projects that I
explain
was
that.
doing. Yeah,
Let's move to the
yeah.
next question,
So
please.
yes, and I'm not somebody who is just out there doing nothing. I work and I sacrifice. I can tell you that for about 2 years now, I've not saved a dime from what I earn.
Okay,
It
let's move
goes,
to the next,
it goes,
and let's
it
be
goes to
very
something
fast because
different.
we're going to end the show in 3 minutes. When will RK be free? I cannot see the name of this person. When will
All right.
RK be free?
They are working. They are working on their relationship, and it's getting better and better. So that's the best part of the news. And I believe when everything is okay, when everything has been, when all of them have actually realized that everything is okay and they are good to go, he will be free and he'll be doing all his things.
Okay. A question from one of our viewers there. Ask him if he is ready to go to ground zero and fight.
Before I left Ground Zero, I've been a fighter. My school life, I've been a fighter throughout my school life. Even when I was a senior prefect, I used to fight for students. Even in my high school, I actually orchestrated strike action that I stopped the school for about 2 weeks, fighting for what was just. So it's not something that I've started now. It's something that is embedded in my blood. I grew with it, and I believe it's what may one day take me to my grave. So if I get back to ground zero, I'm going to continue the fight.
Okay, thank you. How can we be asserting that all the videos sent to the public with General Ake is not under gunpoint? Next question. Go ahead.
Those videos, the first videos that I shared out were videos of guys that RK sent to assassinate Bullet, Amigo, and Ebube in Babanki. So when some of those guys were arrested, they were they were interviewed and they had to confess. So all those things were not done while RK was there. And the two videos from RK after his arrest, he has not been tortured. RK has not been tortured. RK has not been put under duress to do anything. We keep him as comfortable as he can be.
Thank you.
What we want is just to
No,
work
can you go
on
back to that
the
previous question, please? I think that question was coming from Bovet. I want to see the name of the people so that I can, tell them thank you for their participation. The previous question before this one about him being an asset, I think I saw that question.
Can you read the question, please?
No, I'm talking to our producers. If they can bring the previous question, that's someone. Okay. I think it's coming from someone that really participates on the crowd radio and TV platform.
All right.
Yes, thank you. What's the name? I think is that Bovet. Don't you think, with the great organization skills of General Arki, he can be of help if he is released? I think I've asked this, but I, give room to.
Yeah, as I said before, what he did on the 1st of October was mouth-watering, and everybody in his normal senses will have to congratulate him for that. And before that, he had been actually dormant. There was nothing going on as far as activity was concerned, but we instead had atrocities in our own house because during that time we lost a couple of soldiers due to RK's recklessness. So yes, I believe since we are working on getting them to move along well, I believe that when he will come back, when he will come out, he will be a new RK, and he will use the positive part of him. So we are going to see a positive RK, and we are going to see a more collective job.
Okay. Let's move to two more questions and we'll call this a day. Thank you, Bovet. Next question. Okay. Is the Boyo Army under ASC, IG, or your personal army that is only supported? Who is this? We want to see the name of the person. Yes, go ahead.
I created the Boyo Army that we see today.
Yes.
And it has been operating under the banner of ARA. So when ARA became part of the ASC, it was automatic that Boyo, the activities that were taking place in Boyo were taking place under the banner of the ASC. So the issue of ASC, IG, or my own personal army, I will tell you that I created it. And it's not only my work, because I could only bring the resources, bring some other personnel, and put the right people on the right places. And those on the ground did the greatest part of the job, because they are the ones that had to move from one place to another, had to collect what I could provide, like the logistics, and to use them. And from there, we had the results that we have, and we have the army that we have today.
All right,
So
our last
it's
question.
an ARA, it's an ARA army, which is part of, and we understand that ARA is part of the ASC. So that's how it is.
Okay. Our last question that is coming from Captain Jeff Joe. Are you working with the IG or you are building an army for yourself? Last question.
I am working for Amazonia.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not that person that believes so much on institutions. I work for that flag. I work for that anthem. I work for those citizens, those 8 million citizens, and I work to defend that 42,000 square miles of land. So I work for Amazonia. I don't work for a particular institution.
All right. Thank you once again, Mr. Chris Bongam, for coming out live and answering these questions. We believe that the audience now have a clear picture of what has been happening in Boyo. We're still going to call on you to do everything at your reach to solve this problem, so you can put all those, like the ADF surrogates, to shame, because we believe that they are the ones that have been putting, well, they're trying to get RK released, but it is the belief of some that they are trying to do this for personal gain, and all that. So by you trying to solve this problem, it will put them to shame. Peace should reign, and the fighters in Ground Zero should all come together. They shouldn't be controlled, like remote control, be controlled by the people from the diaspora. They should work hand to hand. With that being said, again, we thank you and for your appearance. And we call this the
Can
end.
you give me a minute, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Just a minute. I would like to send this advice to Ground Zero.
Okay.
The diaspora has been doing great financially, but the diaspora also has been doing a lot of atrocity, a lot of harm to our revolution, and the activities are actually affecting the guys, our heroes on Ground Zero. I would highlight us a little bit with some happenings in Boyo. The issue in Boyo would have been okay, very cool by now. There is this Boyo Council that came up, and they are doing great. They are doing great financially, but they are also doing a lot of causing a lot of problems. They are fighting me. I don't know why. I don't know for what reason. They are fighting me. They actually want me out for them to take. So it's like trying to push somebody out or push people out and pick up the baton of command. And
Yes.
it's funny because it has been causing a lot of chaos back home. So that's something we need to actually look into.
Well,
And it's not only in Boyo. There
well,
is fighting in other counties because of the
it's all
diaspora trying
about,
to.
power, people trying to position themselves. We
Yeah,
think, we
yeah.
think,
You see people having meetings, having some devilish meetings against me, trying to oust me and take over command. I don't know for what reason, and it's just funny. I don't want to call names here, but I just promised them that next time I'm gonna call the names. There are some in the US, there are some in Belgium, there are some in UK, there are some in Germany, there are some in Ground Zero.
okay.
So there is a gang that is doing that type of nonsense in Boyo, if I can use that word, and it's really sad that upon all the struggle that we've come through, we've tried to bring the boys back together and make things to move positively. They are again they send boys to go to Ground Zero to Boyo and tell the boys not to work with me.
That's
And
fine.
the information the information gets back to me. So it's funny. I know all what each person has said, and I can quote it word by word. So maybe some other time.
All right. There's this idiot called Johnny. I don't know what he has written, but apparently I think it's an attack because he's an ADF member, which I'll get back to him. Nonsense. Okay. Our extreme gratitude to our viewers for their endless support and feedback. On behalf of the Crowd Radio and TV team, I'm Theodore Ngumba signing off, saying our doors remain open and see you all next time.